Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in Nerdy Talk do not represent those of Anime Herald. Due to strong language, listener discretion is advised. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Alright everyone, it's time for Nerdy Talk again. I'm Mike Ferrer. I'm joined by the following people.
Anthony Simpson.
And others, including Matt Brown.
The return of Dorian Chadwick.
And my mom thinks I'm cool.
Yes, we're joined by Millhouse this week. So, I guess we'll start off with the most obvious one. What are you guys watching?
My precious.
Okay.
He's watching Precious.
Yes, he is.
Based on the novel by Bush by Sapphire.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll start off. It's disappointing because I haven't watched anything new. I'm still trying to catch up on Kill la Kill. But I have rewatched. Actually, no. I finished Madoka Magica and I rewatched Eden of the East.
All good stuff.
Man, you're like the worst anime fan ever. It's almost like you have a social life or something.
What?
What's
No,
social life?
it's work life. It's a work life.
You're subjecting yourself to good things instead of garbage too. What the hell?
Well, quality is subjective here, but
Hey, look. Netflix shows what Netflix shows, and
Yeah.
look at it.
How dare you? You need to go watch something like, I don't know, Dark Side Blues or The Protectors of Universe. Go watch some horrible stuff. No,
I watch
Well-
enough horrible stuff. I just learned something good. Okay.
well, I did notice that Kill la Kill's now on Netflix.
which is awesome. I mean, that's a fantastic show. I'm hoping it really gets some good word of mouth.
Are you watching anything else there, Dorian?
Nope, those are the only three.
I'm still watching the same shows that I'm watching from before. They are Black Bullet, Dion Medalla the Sound Robot, No Game No Life, Selector Infected We Cross, and The World is Still Beautiful. I threw Nanana's Buried Treasure on hold. I got behind. When I get behind on shows, I just put them on hold because I just can't get into them again at the moment. I did finish up 2 shows though since we were last on. I finished up Nadia the Secret of Blue Water, and I have to say that was actually a very good show. Without the filler episodes, I think I would have rated it much higher than I did. I gave it like a 4 out of 5. And if Nadia wasn't like so bitchy at times, because she got a little over the top with her like, "Don't eat meat, don't kill people," that kind of got old quickly.
Mm.
The other show I watched was something a little more recent, Gargantua on the Virtuous Planet. For those who don't know, basically in this show, man has left Earth and they went to the stars. And the Galactic Alliance humanity has been in this war with the Hideyazu, which is these squid-like looking aliens, for a very long time. And our main character, Leto, who's 16, has basically been a child soldier all his life. The first episode starts with this. Well, the first half of the first episode is this big, kind of grand battle where the Galactic Alliance sends out their entire military force to take out this super weapon. Spoiler: they don't succeed, and they have to retreat through this wormhole. Leto gets attacked, and he doesn't end up on his ship. He basically wakes up 6 months later on this planet where people are speaking a language that he doesn't understand. They're using... Well, the show uses primitive tools, but to give you an idea, they're using about what we'd say we'd use now, like current technology level in terms of power tools. And he finds out at the end of the episode, spoiler again, that they're on Earth. Something happened to Earth, and now it's basically an entire water planet. It's a very well-made series because it's done by Production IG, so it looks very, very nice. The character designs are really good. There's the little subtle things that make this show really stand out. Such as Leto, who he's been a child soldier of his life, so now he goes to a place where that has culture, and people aren't just fighting all the time. So he has to learn, oh, okay, like things like money and getting a job, and just the little things in that, as such, is what really makes it stand out with the writing, because the writing's really strong. The other little subtle thing is the character design. At least with Leto, is that when he starts, when you first meet him, he's as pale as a ghost because he's lived in space all his life. Now he's on a planet with sunshine, and as the show as the show goes on, he gradually becomes tan. Starts to develop a tan. And that's a nice little subtle thing that I liked about the show. There's one teensy tiny little problem I had, and that the show has a really bad stereotypical transvestite. Like they have a few of them in episode 5, and it's just like I thought we were past that. This is something that you would see probably in the 80s and be like, oh, okay, no big deal. But which this actually show came out last year. It's kind of highly inappropriate. I think Crunchyroll has it, but it is a show I'd suggest you check out. And I decided again, for some reason, to start watching Inuyasha. I had actually watched Inuyasha when it was on Adult Swim. So that that was about I was still in high school when that came out. That was, or at least when it started airing on Adult Swim, because I was like a junior in high school when I started watching it, but I never gotten all the way through. I only watched so much of it, and I have like all at least the season sets. I don't have the final act of the movies. And I just figured, you know what? They're not getting watched by themselves. They're not getting watched by by themselves. So I figured, well, I'll just start watching them. So, yeah, that's all I'm watching right now.
I'm going to make everyone feel very old right now. As of September, Inuyasha will have been off the air for 10 full years.
Yeah, because it started in 2000.
Until September 13th, 2004.
Yeah. And I remember, like I said, I remember watching it when it was on Adult Swim, because, like I said, I was a junior in high school. So I remember, staying up to watch it. And that's all I have to say.
Are you sure?
About what I'm watching, yes.
How about you, Matt?
Well, I can't possibly top that.
Nobody can.
What was the question? What were we watching? Oh, yeah.
What are you watching?
Well, this and that and a little of the other thing. So I'm just going to say the shows that I actually care about this far into the season. The front runner in that is No Game No Life. It is just more and more awesome each time, or possibly just as awesome, but either way, it's awesome.
That episode, not this week's, but last week's was just plain epic.
Oh yeah, where the girls all got naked, and they kept the word game.
That's what you took out of that?
No. No, that word game was great.
The super healthy zone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the word game was amazing. Sorry.
Yes, the Shiritori game, or Shiratori. I don't know how to pronounce Japanese things.
Shiritori.
Nobody does.
Shiritori.
I have a minor in the language, so I do.
There you go. So I'm just going to defer to Ben with everything that I mispronounce.
It's pretty easy. Just don't ask me to try to pronounce anything in Mandarin, because that's much harder.
I'm pretty sure I won't ask you to do that.
Good, because there's no Chinese material in this podcast in the first place until
now. Now, how do you say Shiritori in Mandarin?
I couldn't even begin to tell you, so I'm just going to make it up, and as I go along, and the way I'm going to make it up is just by leaving a blank space right here.
Fantastic.
There it is.
All right, so the next thing I'm watching still, and honestly, other than the fact that it's a fantasy show, I would say I don't know why I'm watching this, but I'm watching it because it's a fantasy show. Chaika, the Coffin Princess, and it does have its Lolita. It does have its little girl character, but there's so far nothing untoward about that. Just she's like the descendant of this great and powerful magical king that was literally dismembered some number of years ago to remove him from power, and she's collecting his body parts to give him a proper funeral. And I'm sure that nothing bad will come from that at all. You know, these like highly magic, powerful body parts all coming together. Nope, there's nothing bad gonna happen.
Some little girls pick flowers, others pick up dismembered body parts. It's just a hobby.
And then, actually, there's 4 shows. There's Mushishi, which I kind of feel guilty that I don't talk about this more every week, but it's just, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. It's a good show, and I'm going to keep watching it, and it keeps being good. And the last thing, I've actually kept up with Nanana's Buried Treasure, and to my surprise, probably more than anyone else's, I like it a lot, actually. It doesn't try to be, anything groundbreaking. It's just fun. It's got its various character tropes, and they all sort of work together. And the couple main characters, it's kind of hard to identify main characters, but the 2 or 3 main characters are really awesome. So, and they have good dialogue, and the pacing is good, and there's adventure and debatably romance, and a master detective who's like 2 feet tall. I'm exaggerating, but it's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
And,
Benji? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I have a few that I'm trying to keep up with, but sort of failing at, and that's the Kendaichi Case Files are, Mikaku City Actors, which is still it's just like Soul Taker. It's really neat to watch, but it's sort of difficult to explain what you saw, because you were paying attention to the imagery and not really listening to the dialogue, and I've had the same problem with both shows. And I started watching House of 5 Leaves, which I'll say it's really interesting so far, but I don't really want to comment too much about it until I've watched all of it.
I enjoyed House of 5 Leaves. Although I will say Kendaichi is enraging me.
Oh, and I forgot to mention The World is Still Beautiful.
Yes, how dare you.
I am watching that. The last episode left me a little bit less hopeful for how it's going to turn out in the long term, but I'll keep watching it because it's good.
All right, awesome. How about you, Ben?
Oh, as usual, I'm still just watching One Piece. Always One Piece.
To be fair, that could consume an entire lifetime.
Essentially, yes. Yeah, I've only just crossed the 300th episode last weekend, so...
Isn't that thing over 600 by now?
Yep.
Over 630, still going strong. I believe the halfway point was either in the 400s or 500s in terms of episodes, too. So,
Well, will it be over 9,000?
it could happen. I'm sure the manga's probably headed in that direction.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's like Matsumoto. He wrote a whole bunch of different stories that are all essentially about Captain Harlock.
Yep. To be fair,
No.
Captain Harlock's an utter boss.
And of course, anytime it's supposedly about another character, Captain Harlock just sort of shows up and says, "Oh, did somebody say me?"
Yeah, even in Galaxy Express 999, the furthest thing from Captain Harlock, he's there.
That's right. It's like it's supposed to be about this kid in a cowboy hat and a cloak who's really hunched over, but nope.
Exactly. Well, personally, I'm keeping up the standbys on Kendaichi, Meikaku City, Manga Arts and Assistants, Kawaii Complex, Guide to Manners and Hostile Behavior. Pretty much anything that I've named before, I've been trying to keep up with outside of, I have fallen behind on Mushishi, sadly. Not for any desire, but just because time got in the way. Other than that, I've been watching Space Adventure Cobra. I'm actually just wrapped that up and I'm working on a review now. Basically, Cobra is one of those incredibly influential, incredibly old shows. I mean, this is a show where you have that cheesy 1970s guitar riff in the action scenes.
Astonishingly, there was actually a Sega CD game based on it that came west.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Visual novel, I believe, too. No less in a time when that genre was pretty much unheard of outside of Japan.
Huh. Yeah.
As
I
were
mean,
most of the other Sega CD games.
Pretty much like
Zing.
Snatcher. There we go.
Yeah. I mean, the show itself is actually really cool. Basically, it's about this great space pirate named known only as Cobra, naturally, who was utterly infamous. He traveled across the universe to uh, plunder, loot, and basically be the best damn pirate there is. So he was basically living out Luffy's dream in an interstellar scale, to the point where
Without the Daft Punk.
without the Daft Punch,
Oh,
Without the woman and without the rap.
and without the rap, yes.
about 600 episodes.
No, it's only got 39, I
And
think.
no
Is that
cigarettes
all?
become lollipops.
Nope.
Wow. 39. That's 3 more than Macross. Must have been wildly successful.
But anyway, it got to the point where all the other pirates in the universe pretty much created this guild to just kill him. So he went into hiding, he got plastic surgery, altered his appearance, and erased his memories and started living the life of this office worker named Johnson for 5 years till everything just, one event led to another, and it just led to him getting his memories back. So the whole show is about him like just picking up where he left off and going across the universe to find this great treasure left by the dead space pirate Captain Nelson. Again, does it sound familiar?
Seriously, what is it with Japanese stories and memory loss?
It's convenient.
But it's bad. It's really bad.
Oh, I agree.
Anime characters have very sensitive brains. That's what they're trying to tell us.
Is it because of all the radiation?
Ouch. Too soon, dude.
Oh.
Well,
Um,
how late is not too soon? Fukushima Daiichi was like ages ago.
I'm gonna go
Sure.
ahead and say that chances are if your eyes are that big, you're gonna have some problems behind them too.
That is true. But yeah, I mean, it is a really cool show. It's pretty much Star Wars meets City Hunter in a lot of ways. Just the whole tone and atmosphere, and that whole like that space jockey, space opera atmosphere. So I do recommend it.
If you fire a 357 in space, nobody will hear the other guy scream.
Well, that's the beauty. He doesn't have a 357. He's actually got a gun built into his hand called the Psycho Gun, which works on mine bullets.
It's especially handy during his office worker career.
So what happens when a Dominator goes up against a Psycho Gun?
Psycho Gun wins.
I just like to imagine him in office meetings before that, and he's just like, "Well, I got this gun in my hand, so you better do what I say."
The one thing I did find particularly funny though was his female companion is basically a boomer from, if anyone's seen Bubblegum Crisis, they're the blue combat robots. It's basically a female boomer voiced by Yoshiko Sakakibara, who is Celia Stingray in Bubblegum Crisis.
That reminds me.
There we go.
I always wonder if I actually don't know the chronology about this, but Battlestar Galactica, I assume the original story has this too, has a character named Boomer, and that was ever since I first heard that, I had wondered if the Bubblegum Crisis name came from that, or if there was another source,
It would
or
not
if it was
shock
vice
me.
versa. You know.
It would not shock me.
Yeah, Boomer was a guy in the original series, as I recall, too, like Starbuck. So it's another one of the characters
Oh.
fans of the original were very pissed off about having changed in the reboot.
Oh, that's true. The original TV series was like the mid to late 80s, right? So I guess the novel
Right.
would have been well before that,
Right.
most likely.
It's a great story, too. A tale of a people whose homes were all destroyed by Cylons, and then 2 episodes later decided to hang out on a nearby casino planet and gamble for a while. Gotta love the 80s.
All right. Moving on. Moving on.
There is no moving on from that.
Podcast over.
moving on. May 16th, Viz basically dropped a bomb on Twitter. They came out. They announced that they acquired the domestic rights to not only the upcoming Sailor Moon Crystal, but also the original Sailor Moon. For those who don't know, Sailor Moon is one of those shows that's been incredibly elusive over the years. For the past 10 years, I think the licenses were terminated in 2004. It's been completely unavailable in the U.S. market. Pretty much, we've heard everything from rumors to speculation to accusations about why it wouldn't come here. Some people blamed Takeuchi. Some people blamed Toei. Some people blamed the middleman. There was no real explanation outside of this was never coming out again, pretty much. Or if it was, there were going to be some serious conditions attached. So to hear Viz come out say they had licensed the show, it just hit with like this massive impact. To see an entire Twitter feed just light up, just start scrolling rapid, it was pretty impressive.
Yes, it was, because now a whole new generation of anime fans can fight Evil by Moonlight and win Love by Daylight.
Yes, they can. In the name of the moon, they will punish others.
They'll also get to learn to do impressions of Melvin, and that's really the thing that matters most.
Oh, so it's moonlighting? We totally saw that show in America already. Move on.
Yes.
I'm actually pretty excited about this. And the other thing is it's getting a brand new dub.
Yep, they could not get the Deke dubs for some reason or another, but honestly, no one's really upset about that.
Right.
To see it actually getting a new dub is really cool.
And it's completely uncut, too.
Plus we're finally getting stars after all these years.
Right, so everything that was wrong is, like, Zoisite is a guy.
Yep. The Amazon trio are Fish Eyes a transvestite again.
Yeah, those two, I know two of the Senshis are no longer cousins.
Saturn and Uranus.
Yeah, well, I mean, incest is wincest, but we're finally getting they're like I said, they're no longer very air quote very close cousins. They're now properly what they're supposed to be, that they're lesbians. I think that.
Yeah, they're not super best friends anymore.
Yeah, like I said, incest is wincest.
Unless it's in Oni.
Yeah. Shameless self-promotion. If you haven't yet, please check out my Oni review.
I tried.
There's
watching
quite
it.
a lot of in-jokes flying by. Would you guys mind explaining some of this?
Well, Oni is god awful.
Yeah, I've reviewed it. It wasn't very good.
I tried watching one episode. Halfway through, I was screaming at the TV to make it go away.
The first one I was thinking about, the Finding Evil by Moonlight, Winning Love by Daylight. That was one of the lines sung in the original opening theme for the English version only, mind you.
Yep, Finding Evil by Moonlight, Winning Love by Daylight.
Zoisite, because he was a guy in the original version, and when they dubbed it in English, because like I say, figure we can't have gay characters, so they made him a woman, even though he looked like a guy. The other one I was making about the incest is wincest joke was that two of the outer senshi were lesbians, but now in the English version they became very close. They became very air quote close cousins.
That's almost worse.
Yeah.
But that's where I was going. Well, that's why I was saying incest is wincest. But
Yeah. So I have to ask though, did they expect people to think they lived in Alabama or something?
I don't know.
The important takeaway here is that nobody has any cousins anymore. There are no more cousins.
Yes.
None.
Some people do live in Alabama, though.
Yes.
Only like 3 people. Come on.
But
what they say about
all of
Pennsylvania,
them are rich Indian gamblers.
and what they say about Pennsylvania is it's Pittsburgh, Philadelphia with Alabama in the middle. Oh, well, that'll get cut anyway, so.
I don't think it will. You keep saying these things and expecting they'll be cut.
I think that we should do an entire podcast where we cut everything but that kind of stuff.
That's pretty much every podcast, isn't it?
Yeah.
That seems to be how they make their money.
I'm just going to speak a little bit about Sailor Moon here. I'm actually really, really happy that it's coming back. Sailor Moon was like the first anime that I actually had ever seen. Now I didn't know when I saw this. This was 95 or 94, 95. So I was in about 5th grade when I saw this, and at the time I didn't know it was anime. I just remember that when I watched it, I just remember I'm like, this is just totally different from what I had ever seen before, and it just had like a really big impact on me. Obviously, because I'm still watching anime here, and 2 days from this recording, I'm going to be 29. Woo! So I'm still watching anime to this day, but it had a very profound impact. Just the fact that I just never seen anything like that before, so it's just like, this is so cool. It's just because this is so different from things like Looney Tunes or Tiny Toons or any of the other types of normal Western cartoons that we had seen before. So just to me, seeing something like that was just it was just so amazing. And I actually did have I did have half of the ADV's first, because I think didn't they release the first 2 seasons only?
I think so, because Pioneer / Jenny on released S and Super S.
Yeah, because I only had the first season, but I only had I got it right around, I think, when did I buy that? I think I bought it either before or right around the time Hurricane Katrina happened. And I only happened to get the subtitle version. I only got the guy bought it off of Amazon or eBay. I only had the Japanese version. Didn't have the English the English cut version on it. So when I got to see it the first time in its entirety, uncut, or first time in its original language uncut. And of course, the audio quality was like shit. It sounded terrible.
Yeah, I could not bring myself to buy those just because the quality was so horrible.
Although now, of course, the Viz releasing it now, of course, you can probably be able to get this for real cheap now.
Everybody's just yelling into a wind tunnel. Every day is really, really windy.
Yeah, it just sounds like you're listening like a tin can. But
yeah, it's
gross. It's terrible.
And the video was just grainy and artifact, and it was horrible. It's like they got these, not even up. They got these like really dirty VHS masters, and they couldn't clean them.
Well, anyways,
smeared some extra dirt on them in the process.
Anyways, I was so happy when this got relicensed. I just the fact that we're getting a brand new dub. We just know that's going to be in LA. That's all we know. I think they're going to announce it at AX. They're going to announce the dubcast.
Yep, and they're going to probably host they're undoubtedly going to show the first episode there.
Right, and they do have. Well, I know we got sort of a teaser with that at the end of Viz's announcement that they got it again. Because at the very end, you do hear the English version, but it's a little hard to hear because the music's a little louder, though I think that might have been intentional.
Yeah, you just hear this faint Usagi going, Moon Prison Power, or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's very faint, because I'm like, listen, I'm like, I really can't tell who that is.
Yeah.
But I do know that they're going to have the original cast, the original English cast, is going to reunite in the United States for the first time there at AX2.
Which is kind of awesome. I mean, is it the full originals? Because they had like 8 actors they had like 4 actors for Serena.
I think it's just might be the original, not like when they started switching. I know. But anyways, I am very happy it's being released. Hulu has it out now. They're just sort of doing a couple episodes every Monday. They're releasing.
Yeah, Sailor Moon Day.
Right.
Sailor Moon trading cards. What?
But I'm just really, I'm just so happy that it got picked up. I'm like I said, this was my first anime that I watched, and it just holds a very, very dear place in my heart for what it, because again, Sailor Moon got me in the anime. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be on this podcast because I probably wouldn't be watching anime. I'd actually be doing something productive with my life, like probably being married and having a family instead of sitting watching a bunch of Japanese cartoons and yelling about them. on the
This
internet.
podcast just got really maudlin.
So you should be blaming Sailor Moon for everything that's.
No,
not
I
gonna
regret
say
nothing.
anything.
No, I regret nothing again with that. I'm just, again, like I said, I'm just so, and I'm also happy too that now a whole new generation of anime fans can watch it. You know, to see, you know, something that really is so near and dear to to fans in North America.
I mean, I'm just saying, I would rather be married
Yeah.
with a family than be talking about Sailor Moon right now.
Well, I have no interest. Well, I have no interest in marriage, but I don't know. And I don't think maybe some people might not know how big this was. I mean, Variety had wrote up a thing saying it's back. I think
Yeah.
even somebody had
This is
like the local Fox affiliate. Somebody had it said Entertainment Sailor Moon back on.
yeah. This
on-
actually hit the mainstream news. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I was seeing it on like Yahoo Finance and stuff at work the next, not at work, but you know, like after work the next day.
right. And I know we got this from the and then did a interview with some of the people from Biz, and I guess this was a big thing because all the big players here in Region 1 or North America were going after it. Even for anime distribution, but even some Hollywood studios were going, groups were going after it a bit in it. So the fact that, not only do we have the big players but we also have Hollywood groups trying to get to it, I think really shows you how really important this is, that this
Absolutely.
is back out.
And not to butt in, but I have a little shameless self-promotion here.
Yeah.
I actually have an interview with the Viz people on Wednesday about Sailor Moon, so I'll definitely be asking some questions, see if we can get any more information out of that.
Yeah, I'd be look forward to that. But no, I'm just really really happy it's out and that we're getting a new dub. And I know there's some people upset that we're not getting those, the Cloverleaf for the DIC dubs. Because yes, I will admit I have some nostalgia for them. Yes, they were terrible, but I remember again. I just have a nostalgia thing for them, and they'll probably never be re-released because if I remember reading correctly, that the original mangaka is basically supervising and giving her blessing for all the stuff with this new release. Because I think she's picking I know she's being present with when they pick the actors.
Yeah, she approved the cast
Right.
cast as a whole.
Right, because they're already recording now as we speak. So I think they started. I think they started sometime before they made the announcement.
Which makes sense because they're actually going to be releasing dubbed episodes starting in July, isn't it?
I'm not sure when they're coming out. I know the new Sailor Moon Crystal's coming out in July, but we'll talk a little bit about that later. I don't know when the dub's coming out. I have to look.
I think that's coming July or August. It's not very far off.
I guess, do we have an idea when the sets are going to start coming out?
Not yet. That's something I'll probably be asking about because, honestly, I know at least 6 people that have already said, "Tell me when it's coming out, so I can give them my money."
Yeah, I know they're sort of doing like half sets for each season.
Right, which is still pretty meaty. I mean, those are long seasons.
Right. Well, I know at least the first one. Spoiler: it's ending on a cliffhanger, and I think Charlie or Ingram. I can't.
Charlene Ingram.
Yeah. Yeah. She mentioned. I think she kind of didn't want to. They didn't want. I think one to do that, but then it keeps keeps it sets even. But it's like, yeah, I know we don't want to end on this cliffhanger because.
Yeah, because yeah, I can understand why they don't want it because more than anything, it kind of upsets people more than it gets them interested for the next set because who knows when it's going to hit.
I'm not sure that's true. I think it gets people appropriately interested for the next set as long as it doesn't take too long to release it.
Right. Well, I don't.
Because if you look at the, I'm thinking back to the Vision of Escaflowne DVDs, every single one of them ended on a cliffhanger.
Right.
True, but those came out like 1 or 2 months apart. It's not like the big sets like Sailor Moon, I'm guaranteeing it's going to be at least 3 month windows because that's what they're doing for Ranma.
Because Sailor Moon, and I said this in
Yeah.
the last podcast,
But it's
which
it's
is
3 months for what, 12 or 13 episodes, not 4.
6.
I was gonna say, that they don't really. I don't know what Viz's plans are, but generally nobody releases 4 to 5 episode singles anymore.
Bandai did, but they're no longer around.
That was another fun story, though.
Well, we're not. Well,
That's another story for another show.
Another show.
I think they're doing like the first one. I think is like 16 and 16. I think, or
If it's
I think someone kind of said. They listed, I think, what the breakdown is. I could be wrong, so. I am kind of curious to how that plays out. I will say one thing: if this will probably print money for Viz.
Oh god, yeah, this is going to be one it's going to be one of the rare. Like
It'll be like their DVZ, it'll just print money.
Well, it'll have to, right? Because I'm sure they paid a pretty penny for it, even though they got a nice big package deal.
I'm guaranteeing this license was not cheap.
No, but like I said, they're probably if they handle it right, it's going to print money. I mean, DBZ, Funimation keeps putting stuff out, and they just keeps on selling.
Oh god, yeah.
And and that's probably what's kind of with Viz. This will probably just keep on printing money.
It might take a little while. I hope they have a long period for their license. Because just look at how long that Funimation has milked DBZ, and it keeps reducing for them, but it may have taken a little while to start.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it will, but like I said, it'll probably make them money eventually, and then keep me on more shows.
Yep.
That's all I actually have to say about Sailor Moon. What about your thoughts, Mike?
Personally, I'm utterly thrilled to see this happening because, like I said, I kind of passed up on the old ADV sets just because the quality was crap. So, to see it coming out in a new package, great format, looks nice, sounds nice. I'm absolutely thrilled to see it. This is a show that a lot of people have really been kind of fiending for in a lot of ways. It's a show that everyone's kind of talked about. Even the new fans, both new and old, are very aware of it, very, very interested, even though the show itself is, well, it's over 20 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Which is an accomplishment. I do kind of hope that it does make money. I hope it does it does have a decently long license so that it can just kind of sell to its potential. And I do hope that Viz takes some effort to push this in markets that may not be the standard anime market. Like, as you said, this hit the mainstream news. So this is something where I'm kind of hoping they take that and they run with it. Like, this could definitely sell to people that grew up with the show and have kids of their own at this point. So, and it could do very well in that light.
Right. I think that they, at least it's to start, put some advertising money in the start to say, hey, it's it's back. And then once it's in for a while, I don't want to say they could just cut their advertising money, but I mean, once people know it's out, then I mean,
you can kind of taper off.
Well, word of mouth will take over then. And I mean, I'm not trying to tell Viz what to do. I mean, obviously they know what they're doing, but that'd be one of those things that you put a little bit goes a long way.
Absolutely.
I'd like to pose a question to you guys.
Okay.
I could be characterized as an outsider to magical girl shows, and as you know, in previous podcasts, I've even rightfully so been accused of characterizing certain shows as magical girl that weren't even magical girl shows. Although that's kind of a side point. My question is, magical girl shows have generally not done too well in the States. There may be exceptions. I'm not aware of any off the top of my head. My question is, being the quintessential magical girl show that Sailor Moon is, do you guys think that it's going to do better enough that it might raise interest for the genre in general?
That's a very difficult question because at this point it really depends on which markets they reach out to and which groups they can actually touch. Because I mean, they've got the anime fans in the bag, obviously.
Right.
But reaching out to those outside markets is really hard to do because I'm gonna get a little wonky here. I'm gonna get a little bit little businessy here, but if you in a blue ocean strategy, which is absolutely what this is like the quintessential blue ocean show. It managed to reach people that would never in a billion years touch anime. In blue ocean strategy, your key is reaching your first and second tier non-customers. Those are your people that would typically not watch it, but do show some interest. In particular, first tier non-customers are the people that would buy something like, say, Cowboy Bebop or Samurai Champloo but not watch anime. And second tier would be people that kind of watched this as a kid and kind of grew out of it, or they're people that know of the show and have some interest but just don't want to be kind of converted over. Those are the ones that they have to really win over to reach the third tier, which are people that don't know about the show, period, and have no clue they want it. If they can successfully win over at least the first tier, then it'll kind of create this almost a domino effect where it spreads out to second and third tier. If they can win second tier right away, then they've already got the money in the bank. It's going to just go viral. But at this point, it's really hard to say. It really depends on who they market to, how they market, and how they sell that idea of value of the product to these people.
I mean, maybe a better question is, considering the things that Americans like and, painting with broad strokes here,
Yep.
what would you say that a show like Sailor Moon might offer to the general public?
Well,
And, I have some experience with magical girl shows. I'm not, flying
Right.
blind here, but I just want to know what your thoughts are.
well, this is going to be a show with a very strong female audience, female cast. It's something that's going to create a positive message for that younger girl set to early teens, with enough of a cool factor because it's a show where they're basically out there, they're fighting monsters. It's something that they can really get into, kind of see girls kicking ass, but at the same time just being average people. It's something where it kind of tells you that anyone can be a hero, anyone can do something big, but at the same time it's not preachy, it's not going to talk down to them, it's just going to be a fun, entertaining show.
Right, and the thing I want to interject here,
Go right ahead.
especially with the cast, now I only really seen the first season and part of the second, but really is that you have a cast here made up of, okay, now I know Usagi's crybaby and whatnot, for those who haven't seen it, but over the season course she develops, and and of course over the series she isn't that way anymore, becomes less that. Is that we really have here a good set of strong female characters. I mean, I know some might say, well, the Tuxedo Mask coming in saving might be sexist because they got to rely on a guy for something. But I'm sorry, but the cast, and again, is you have a strong female cast. The five main girls.
Right.
They're except they're all strong female characters. They're not like, they're not just existing for whatever reason. They've not. I don't say they're strong just because they fight. I say they're strong because that they are.
Right. They're very well written. They grow. They evolve well. It's just a fantastic cast that are incredibly relatable. Even though the show is a product of a country that is literally an ocean away.
Right, and and I don't mean to speak ill of Japan, but I think we all know that they're not exactly the priming example of gender equality. I mean, we all know that, unfortunately, but different again cultural thing. Though the one thing that does concern me is the fact that, especially trying to get with newer fans, is that this is an older show, and I mean,
Hmm.
I don't want to generalize, and I say this, and for those of
Right.
you who are new or don't take this like I'm trying to be elite, some elitism or talking down on you, is that there are people who really won't, they don't touch older animation because, oh, it doesn't look good,
Right.
and
I
that is an
mean,
unfortunate thing. So I mean, there is that.
thankfully, hopefully, Crystal will be that one that kind of gives enough of the new while creating some interest in the old at the same time.
Well, yeah, and what was I gonna say? And I know Magical Girl really has never been a big thing here. As I was saying, I know Magical Girl shows never really done well here, but I mean, I think Monica Magic is doing pretty good for Aniplex of America. And not all Magical Girl shows are very good. I mean, there are like anything, like any genre, there are good shows and there are bad shows. And, there are some ones here that, like one I'm going to refer to as Magical Girl Lyrical Nanaha. That's a good show, but that's aimed more at a hardcore crowd. Like that's aimed more at people like me and the otaku crowd than a general audience type show like Sailor Moon would be. Sailor Moon's more aimed for everybody, while Monica is more, or not Monica, Lyrical Nanaha is aiming more at the hardcore fans.
Right.
Oh, just to go back for a second.
Yeah.
There's actually a character in Sailor Moon named Usagi.
Yes, the main.
Yes.
Wow. I guess I would be a crybaby if my name was Rabbit too.
In the original mixed manga translation, they literally called her Bunny.
Which again is close enough.
Yeah, it's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bunny
It's more
is
accurate than Serena.
not
Well, that's
not any better.
Though I will give them credit, though they at least kept the last names right in
True.
at least for some of them, at least in English dub.
True.
They changed the first names and
But
so Mike, do you have anything else to say about Sailor Moon being picked up? Because I think I've said all I want to.
I think I've said pretty much all I want to. I do want to say I like seeing where they've really gone all out with this, especially in Japan for the Crystal re-release. Like they've really been pushing this. Fashion magazine Vivi, for their last month's issue, bundled in like a leather pouch with a special piece of artwork from Naoko Takeuchi. They're hosting a special live premiere event in a couple weeks to kind of get a select group of people a chance to really watch and talk about the show about a week before it airs. So that's really nifty.
I heard that event that they had. I heard that event's meant as women's only, unless now men could go out here if they're accompanied by female. Is that correct?
Correct, because it's being hosted by Vivi, which is pretty much kind of like Cosmo in a lot of ways. It's a fashion magazine. It's limited to female attendees unless they're like the plus one.
And
Which I
heard that caused some problems for some people, apparently.
Yep, just like anything, the internet sprung into action, and we started seeing the men's rights activists, I hate that term, spring into action, calling this quote-unquote sexist, horrible, disgusting. Basically, people pissed off about an event they're never going to go to because they don't live in Japan. Probably didn't give a shit about for various reasons. Find some way to whine about something that's really cool, a great promotional opportunity for the show. I mean, I could go on and on about these people, but I'd rather not give them any attention just because they're just despicable, small-minded assholes.
I'm not going to give my opinions about MR8, so I'll first. Do these people not realize that we have women-only events here in we'll just say the United States? Do they not realize that we have those events here? Because it happens all the time where I live. They always have.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, they do. They're the people who sue over the discrimination practices, the discriminatory practices of Ladies' Night.
Yep.
And these are actual lawsuits, not just people bitching.
I'm gonna chime in and just call these guys butt chickens.
Yeah, we'll call them the butt chickens from now on.
And where I live specifically, we have two female-only gyms. We have, Curves franchise, then we have another gym called Momentum Fitness, and they're both women-only.
Right.
And I don't hang around them places, obviously, but I don't see anyone having, bitching about these places exist. Considering where I live is pretty conservative area. But
Gynecologists? Why not manacologists?
they're called we have them. They're called urologists.
Yeah, I'll just say speak for
terrible.
yourself, because I'm more curvy than the average female, and I don't get to go to curves, so I'm mighty upset about that.
Yeah, I just don't. I just don't get what the shitstorm is. I mean,
Honestly,
I know it's an MRA thing, and I'm not getting into
Yeah.
that, but it's like, really, you're going to complain about a podcast? I'm going to hate using this term. It's like you're going to complain about an event for some Japanese cartoon you're not going to watch, or event you can't attend. It's like, really?
yeah. I mean, it's honestly comical in a lot of ways, just because it kind of proves if people can whine about something, they're gonna whine about something.
Just for half a second, I'll play devil's advocate. There are probably quite a large number of otaku in Japan who would be thrilled to go to this event, and might be, I'll say, more pissed off than whoever these rights activist people are that we keep hearing about.
I'm gonna play
But
devil's advocate
on the
that too.
other hand, I wasn't finished. Sorry.
Sorry, that was my fault.
On the other hand, I could also see the VV magazine people being explicitly concerned about this group of people, and quite keen on excluding them from their crowd.
Okay, so I'll come in and play my own devil's advocate aspect on this. Yes, I know that I'm going to say this, and I don't really. If I come off sexist, I apologize. This is never meant to be. I know that the female events, they how do I want to word this? I know that the fan reaction, at least the reaction from the people attending it, they feel better that it's all females, and there's really no men involved. So there is, to an extent, they feel a little better there. Now,
Safer.
well, okay. Now, I consider myself an otaku, and that's not really a bad word anymore. Now, not all of them act that way, or yes, I know there's things you hear like on 2chan or Senkaku Complex, but they're generally the more extreme end of the fandom.
Yeah.
And then Senkaku Complex you take with a grain of salt. I mean, I like that site. Don't get me wrong. I like going there for things, but I take some of what they say, like, if it isn't anime related, pretty much I just say, like, okay, whatever. It's, take with a grain of salt.
They're pretty much the minority.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned girls feeling comfortable being at an all-girls event for something like Sailor Moon, and I would argue that they're comfortable that knowing that no otaku will be there.
Well,
These guys don't have friends who are girls who would take them.
well, I mean, and there also could be female talk. I mean, there could be female talk in Fujoshi. I mean, they're
Totally fine.
They're the same group. I mean, male or female, you're an otaku. I mean,
Right.
Well,
like I said,
I don't think that female otaku are all that interested in loli moe. There's exceptions to every rule, I know.
Well, yeah, there are
but
people who are
Yes.
into that. And again,
That's
I'm
about it.
I'm a guy, and I'm into that stuff. But I mean, again, you're right. There are exceptions, and there are people who are into that and who are female, and of course, like there's anything. There's some who are people are otaku and they don't like male otaku, and they don't, they're not into that, and then some that are, but. Yeah, it's unfortunate people have to act like dickwads, and
Oh yeah.
it's like, can't we all just accept that? Hey, it's not for you guys, it's not for us, and just say, okay, well, you know what, that's be at that, leave it at that. But I guess you can't have that.
Also, accept that most people find online bitching irritating, and it's just gonna make them laugh at them.
Well, I mean, it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
look,
true.
Versus the world.
well, let me like say, I understand that we can't all like everything, and I'm
Right.
actually glad for that, because this would be a pretty boring place if we all just said,
Oh yeah.
great, hey, it's a female event, yeah, everybody's happy. That would get pretty boring after if everything came out and we all were all happy for everything. That'd get boring
Oh
quickly.
yeah. If anything, this gave us something to talk about.
Well, yes, and I mean, I'm not gonna give my opinions MRAs. I just
Bitching
don't.
about bitching. It's a feedback loop. It
Yeah.
never ends.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just really unfortunate we can't all just accept that there's just some things not for us. But
Right.
I mean, I wonder if it really comes down to this magazine doesn't want people showing up at their event who are incapable of dressing themselves for for any kind of formal thing
well, I don't know.
or semi-formal.
Well, see, I don't know if this is like a formal event or.
If
I
it's
think
if
you
it's a
might-
fashion magazine, I can pretty much guarantee you
yeah.
it's at least like the prom.
There's a
You know,
dress
then,
code.
yeah.
it's got to be at least semi-formal because they're gonna have like models and stuff in attendance.
Yeah, so they'll probably have, semi-formal and probably overpriced drinks and food.
So they don't want
Overpriced
people showing up in
drinks.
Wear a
sweatpants.
shirt with no
Exactly.
stains.
And white t-shirts.
And a dakimakura. They're hard.
And
Hey,
Crocs.
now I have a documarker of Sailor Mercury, so
And you would wear this to a fashion event?
Exactly. You would bring it to a fashion event.
fuck no.
Exactly. Exactly my
I don't
point.
take it out of the house.
Exactly my point. These people would.
I would
Yeah.
if somebody paid me money. I might, or if I was going to an anime con, I might
Yeah,
do it.
but that's
And
different.
normal, no.
That's
And I
different,
bet
though.
you wouldn't bring your waifu there too.
I will plead the fifth on this, so I don't.
Strap on, body pillow.
I'm not saying you can't have a waifu, but you wouldn't bring it to that event.
No, I wouldn't.
Or her, excuse me.
Exactly the
Or it-
It might get upset.
exactly what we're getting at. It's like
Or your little sister waifu, whatever your inclinations are.
I'm not gonna get into my
all right, dude. Let's
because we're getting way off track.
let's
here.
cut here, guys.
Yeah, it's.
Or
Fine.
possibly two on track.
Let's cut.
I don't think we
let's
were
still
on
get-
track there for that whole segment.
We're getting dangerously close to a truth a lot of people would not like exposed.
Exactly.
Hey, I said a lot of I said a lot of things in that other podcast that are to some extent true for me. So
All right, moving on. Benji, well, I know you've had a lot to say about gaming lately. What are your thoughts on everything in general?
As far as the Vigima games go, as of late, it's kind of an exciting time because we have E3 right around the corner, and Nintendo's obviously teasing a lot of nice stuff. We've got Tomodachi Life coming up, just about 2 weeks off now at this point, roughly, or a little under that. Which, for all of the internet-manufactured controversy, still looks like a fantastic game. It's sort of the most ambitious and impressive-looking Mii-based game they've come up with so far, and its focus on sort of being this curious, sort of weird Japanese take on The Sims, with Mii's on there, with their little digitized voices and bizarre adventures they'll go on and that. And the prospect of pretty much creating any kind of character you want and just dropping them in there and watching whatever chaos unfolds is pretty great, so that'll be fun. And then, of course, there's no not noting as well that we have Mario Kart 8 coming out next week now as well, which will be one of the biggest games of the generation anyway. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a good time.
It's always one of the biggest games since the last one.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it's the power of Mario Kart. There's pretty much no other racer that has that staying power at this point.
Rainbow Road will make you its bitch.
Exactly.
It always does.
Yes, and this time they actually let you counter the blue shells, so there's a way to actually get rid of those now.
Yay!
That's right.
Oh.
You can blow a horn and make them blow up before they hit you. So that-
Totally logical.
Exactly. It's Nintendo. You don't need to have to worry about that.
At least it's not an
Maybe.
ocarina.
Mhm.
Horns are more manly.
That's right.
Speaking of an Ocarina, the new Dynasty Warriors game's coming out, right? Hyrule Warriors.
Yes, Hyrule Warriors with one-on-one combat done by Team Ninja, and obviously they've worked on the character designs too. While we've got Omega Force doing the traditional classic style combat for the big field battles otherwise, and that just looks like one of the most polished and in-depth Musou games in the Warriors series to date. So that's exciting, since that series has obviously been stagnating in a very bad way in recent years, just looking at sales and sort of the redundancy the franchise has gotten into, while Nintendo seems to be doing a lot to freshen that up with these partnerships.
It's hard to imagine people would think it redundant, considering that it's Romance of the Three Kingdoms a million times over.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much. Even
I
the
mean-
main series of that doesn't sell very well these days either, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I tried Orochi Warriors, and you can even tell with that one. Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate, I think it is the Wii
Hyper,
one.
maybe?
Hyper.
Yeah. I'm
You can kind of tell that they were struggling with that one, since they were really kind of trying to go into left field with the scenarios and stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it for what it is, but yeah, that's a series that's needed some more work. And I mean, I enjoyed their sort of spin-off they did on the PS2 and GameCube a couple generations ago that they brought west called Mystic Heroes. That was based on some other quirky folklore that I guess was at least partially adapted into the Hoshin Engi anime years ago. I know there were some sort of connections between the base characters and that, and it was sort of like Dynasty Warriors for kids, where you're fighting off super deformed soldiers while playing as little super deformed characters yourself, casting a variety of magic spells, fighting off wolves and a variety of monsters and things like that. And I felt like that set a good baseline for what could have been an impressive spin-off if they kept with it and just continued to try to branch away from history and gotten into more fantastical stuff. But Hyrule Warriors feels like sort of the real first commitment they've made to jumping away from that and doing something just purely fantastical. And of course, they have a whole world of prominent Nintendo characters to work with there too. And of course, we'll all be a little bit sad, I would say, if we don't have playable Tingle in there.
With that one. I'm really looking forward to the music because the Dynasty Warriors series always had a fantastic soundtrack to it.
Oh yeah, it's completely rocking. I've actually just picked up Samurai Warriors 3 fairly belatedly on the Wii recently, and that just gets you pumped the whole way through. It's a nice sort of mixture of more atmospheric traditional Japanese style tunes, and then it's sort of more rock and electronic music when you get sort of into the intense combat on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think one of the mistakes that they've made with all of their games so far is just numbering them when they really could. You know, people don't realize how fun those games are, I think. And the moment they play one of them, they're hooked, like the rest of us, right?
Exactly. I started with
Yeah,
Dynasty
or
Warriors
not,
3
and that's okay.
at an anime con,
Right.
and that was enough. As soon as I played that one game at Animazement, like back in 2003 or 4, I had to play the series.
Yeah, I mean, I got in a little bit late. My first was Samurai Warriors 3, but I pretty much bought every one that's come out that since then. Like, I got, well, not every one, but every one on a system of my own. Like, I picked up Samurai Warriors 3, then I went and I got the 3DS one when it came out.
Oh yeah, Chronicles. That was a great game too.
That was great. It's a shame we never got the sequel, but
Yeah, hopefully the renewed relationship between Koei Tecmo and Nintendo, since they seem to be trying to move toward being a near second party in the future. If they do that, more of those on the 3DS, more of those on the U, and more reliable localizations would be fantastic.
I just hope that this Hyrule Warriors isn't a one-off thing, because I'd love to see this become a series, just because I love the whole idea that this is an action-centric Zelda. Finally, I mean, this is something that
Exactly.
you and I have talked about this quite a bit, where I've always had this kind of misgiving about the more recent Zelda games where it's too much puzzle and they've really scaled back on the whole idea of the sword play.
Yeah, it's understandable. I felt a lot the same way too. Like it gets frustrating watching the game sort of come to a screeching halt at times, so that you can figure out a puzzle in a room when you just want to get on with the adventure already, like in the original games.
I.e., they're just
Exactly.
crappy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
There's not. I mean, I like the puzzles, but there's not enough of the ratio of puzzles to monsters is too disparate, I think.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
while I still like the main series for what it is, though granted I'm way behind and still have a lot of catching up to do anyway, I feel like the whole sort of just Z-target, strafe, hit them in the back has gotten really stale in recent years too.
I agree, and honestly, I'm definitely gonna show my age here. I came from the old NES days. I came from the first game in Onward,
Yeah,
and if you look at
Which one of us hasn't played the first game?
yeah, I know.
Exactly.
But if you look at Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, Link to the Past, even Link's Awakening, the puzzles were always a secondary element. It wasn't until Ocarina that you really started to see the puzzles start to become more and more of a part of the main story. I mean, the meat of the game. Which
Well, and even Ocarina had, had these broad battlefields
Exactly.
with monsters popping up.
like Hyrule Field.
Yeah, exactly. With
After
the
night,
skeletons.
it became a battleground because you had to fight the Stalfos.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, of course, Link to the Past was pretty much all about just fighting everywhere you went, but this constant exploration, picking up tools, and then going back and figuring out what you could use them to explore further and what secrets you could find.
Exactly, and that's what I miss. I think.
Yeah, that's something they can stand to work on more. And I mean, I think it's a good sign, at least, that Eiji Aonuma has specifically been talking about how this is him bringing in people to essentially make the Zeldas that he could never do on his own, and that he knows he's starting to recognize that he has these limitations as a game creator himself that are holding the series back.
That's a good thing.
Indeed.
So
I did feel like Twilight Princess was kind of the perfect mix of fighting and puzzles. Well,
I don't-
Yeah.
maybe not perfect, but it was close. It was really excellent. It had
I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
it had these broad fields with plenty of exploration to do, and it also had
Exactly.
these closed puzzle areas where you had to either find things or well, it was usually just finding things to solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wind Waker was still my favorite of the 3D ones, so it had sort of its own issues, obviously, as well. But I'd love to see something that sort of learns from that and Twilight Princess and just gives us a really, really massive open world and lets us play around in it like we could in A Link to the Past. And then now, of course, in the recent Link Between Worlds as well.
Agreed. Agreed.
Shamefully, I still haven't played that game. I got it free with the 3DS I bought, but I've been tied up in Bravely Default instead.
Yeah, I actually haven't gotten around to buying it yet because I haven't played that, Skyward Sword, Spirit Tracks, Ocarina of Time 3D yet, and or Wind Waker HD. So I'm way behind, but
You
I'm
didn't-
planning on catching up on all of them yet. But
You did not miss much with Spirit Tracks.
yeah, that's what I've heard. I figure I'll just play it and enjoy it for my fixation on trains, but otherwise just check it off, finish it, and move on to the next ones after that. And I'm most excited for especially A Link Between Worlds, just because that looks like such a great return to form to the classic style. And I mean,
Yeah,
Link to the
especially
Past
with
is
the
such a great
3D elements.
yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, I'm looking forward to replaying A Link to the Past on the Virtual Console once I get my Wii U as well, since I can just transfer that up really cheaply. So.
That's another shame point for me. I've played A Link to the Past, but I never actually finished it.
I never finished it until I got it on the Wii, actually,
Jesus.
but it was worth it. Man, was it worth it. But yeah, I would always get to a certain point in the Dark World as a kid when I would get really confused. I'm not sure if I could ever get past, I guess, being stuck as a rabbit when you're first cursed there or not. And that was always sort of a big stumbling point for me in childhood. I would finish Hyrule, but then the other side would just completely trip me up.
In other gaming news, it looks like there's a new Fatal Frame coming out.
Yep, they did announce that, and we've got at least one more Tecmo Koei game being announced sometime in the near future. It looks like on the Wii U too, presumably.
Sweet. Here's hoping it actually comes west this time.
Exactly, especially if it's a first-party one. It should, since they seem to be on this kick now with Iwata as global president of localizing effectively everything they possibly can now. So.
Well, it's hard to say because they didn't bring 4 over due to the fact that whole back and forth with the bugs. There was like some fatal game-breaking bug, and
Yeah,
it
here's
became a he
hoping-
said, she said thing where Nintendo said talk to Koei, Koei said talk to Nintendo, and they didn't want to. Neither one wanted to fix it.
No,
Yeah,
they should hand it off to Nisa. They're no stranger to game breaking bugs, and they don't care as much.
That's
Oh,
right.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look
did
at
I just say
Occidental
that?
They're
My
trying
bad.
to go bankrupt with Sony now anyway, so But yeah, I would imagine they're probably going to try to avoid that kind of scenario. And they did bring a Spirit camera over here on the 3DS, which was a surprise in
True.
itself. So.
Yeah, I've actually felt I actually fell victim to the Rocky bug in Art and Elico 2. Just once, and then I found a way around it, but it's annoying.
Yeah, because it's a buffer overflow, isn't it? That just kind of causes it to seize up.
Yeah, well, more importantly, it puts a hard time limit on that battle if you don't finish it in a certain amount of time, and it's somewhat random when she's going to use that ability. and it just crashes the game.
When I heard the name of it, I just imagine them showing Rocky running up these stairs in front of wherever it was in that movie that he did, just randomly in the middle of the game, and then dancing around to the top of the stairs, and then the word Rocky just filling the whole screen and crashing it.
That would just be awesome. That would be the best bug ever.
Exactly. Every time it happens, you yell, Adrian!
Alright,
My one piece of games games talk is, well, I'll just say it. The only two games I care about in the near future are Hyrule Warriors and the new Xeno game, whatever it's going to be called.
Fingers crossed for no pwn everywhere.
what about Theater Rhythm 2?
Well, okay, that's fair. I do
still
care.
need to catch up
I care extremely about that game, but I was gonna say that the two games I mentioned before, I will not own a Wii U until one of those is available. So Nintendo, listen up.
Yeah, well, Hyrule Warriors is coming in, I guess it's August 14th in Japan, so it probably won't be far off here, if not sooner, potentially. I'd imagine they're probably localizing it side by side for as close of release as they can possibly get over here.
Yeah, well, those games tend to have, 10 lines of dialogue-ish.
Actually, there's a lot of dialogue in those.
Ganondorf approaches from the west.
Not as much as all of the RPGs.
No.
Lots of repeated dialogue where your character announces that they defeated an enemy officer, though I guess Link will just be silent and somebody else will say, "Good job, Link."
No, you just hear, yeah, yeah.
That's right. Everybody
That's
else
true.
is
How's cooperative play gonna work? Is somebody else gonna play as Navi?
Someone's probably
Oh,
gonna.
God.
Well, there's a bunch of playable characters probably because they've already
Yeah.
announced a couple. Like, there's gonna be Link. There's gonna be Impa.
Ampa.
I'm gonna play as Epona.
There we go. Yes.
Epona's back and she is pissed.
She fights on her hind legs, no less, too, and just smacks enemies with her hooves.
Yeah, but she has to say a name like James Backs of the Horse.
That's right. Make her basically play like Sun Se and Dynasty Warriors with his tonfa, except she uses just her hooves instead.
Exactly.
I've been playing more of the One Piece 3DS RPG recently too, and just using Chopper anyway. And all of his special attacks in that are just combos of him beating the crap out of people with his hooves. And you can't help but imagine that's gotta hurt a lot more than fists too.
It really does.
It's like a tiny reindeer just pops up and goes pow. Oh man! And then of course Nintendo
Pow
has
Pow
announced
Karn.
they have those NFC figurines they're coming up with now later this year too on their NFP platform that there are. Yeah, NFP is what they're calling it. Nintendo figurine platform that'll be using the Wii U's NFC sensor on the gamepad regularly, and that'll be compatible with a whole bunch of different games. And then the 3DS will be getting its own little IR platform that'll be connecting with that early next year with a bunch of games compatible with the same figurines. And in contrast to Skylanders and Disney Infinity and such, it'll be compatible with all kinds of games across a variety of genres. With Smash Brothers on the Wii U, the first one confirmed to use it.
Awesome.
We all need Captain Falcon figurines, obviously.
Yes, we do. You need to show us our moves.
That's right.